Hey, my name's James Nicholson. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to talk about how you can buy properties for £0. Now, we're going to talk about multiple strategies, so make sure you stick around to the end and we'll get those covered for you. Now, this channel is all about my investment journey. I'm building my portfolio out and I want to invite you along on that journey with me. I'm also building a portfolio for my two daughters. Georgia is 21. We've just got 2 deals so far this year, which is going really well. We've bought a rundown property in Doncaster at auction, and we bought a flat in Dorking. Now, they are documented on this channel, so you can see all the behind the scenes, the refurbishment, how we bought auction. So do check out those videos on the channel. And we're building a portfolio for my little baby, Amelie. So do join us on a journey by taking that finger of power, spinning it round, smash the subscribe button over there, guys. Do it now. Smash that subscribe button and hit the bell notification. Now, how can you buy properties for £0? Well, actually, it's not possible. So just don't think that you can buy it for zero. However, you can get properties that you can get the money back very cheap, very quickly, or you can get properties on a very, very low cost basis. So I want to cover a few of those things for you. Now, one way that you can get property for almost nothing is you can use something called a lease option. Now, I've got other videos on the channel, but I'm going to talk about that very quickly here. But if this sounds like a winner to you, do go and check out the other videos on that. Now, so a lease option is very common in business, right? So a lot of businesses are bought using this method. So you may have heard like of football clubs getting bought for £1. Have you ever heard of something like that? A football club getting bought for £1? Well, that happens. And so what they do is they buy, obviously they'll take on any debt and stuff like that. Now, this works with houses as well. So what would happen is you would find someone that's looking to sell a property and maybe for some reason they can't sell. Now, who could that be? Well, it could quite easily be someone in negative equity, couldn't it? There's tons of people, unfortunately, still in negative equity and they just don't want the property anymore. Maybe they've inherited a property that's in negative equity from one of their parents and they just want to get rid of that liability. Now, if they sell through an estate agent, they're going to struggle, aren't they? Because they don't want to make a loss. So where you can come in and help is you can say, I will buy the property from you today and we will complete the transaction in a predetermined amount of time. And that could be 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. 7 years is the most common, right? So to make this a legal transaction, you will spend £1 on the lease option, right? And then you will complete in 7 years. So let's just make sure that totally makes sense, right? So what we're saying is you secure the property for £1 and then you complete the transaction in 7 years from now. Now, what that means is that you've given the property, or you're going to give the property time to increase in value. Time to increase in value, right? And so you might say the property today is worth £50,000. And it's possible, isn't it? It is possible that that could be worth £75,000 in 7 years from now. That's possible. I'm sure you'd agree with that, right? And so what that means is that in 7 years, you can complete the transaction, but you've actually created 25 grand in equity straight away, which is pretty good. That means that you might actually not need to physically put in a deposit to complete that. Now, costs wise, does this cost £0? No, it costs £1 and you need to get a good solicitor, right? You need to get a proper lease option solicitor. This should not be done by a general property conveyancing solicitor. You need a proper lease option solicitor. You also need to pay for a solicitor for the person you're taking this off, so they are also covered and they can't come back and say that you did this under any ulterior motive or anything like that. So lease options are a great strategy that you can use. Now, the best strategy that I personally use is one called the B triple R. And that stands, that's a terrible B, for buy, refurbish, refinance, rent. Buy, refurbish, refinance, rent. Now, this strategy, you will need some funds. However, I'm going to talk to you about how you can get that money back quite quickly. So let's talk about how I've done this recently. So I have bought a property up north for my daughter, Georgia, that you've probably heard me talk about a lot. Some of you, in fact, some of you, it really annoys that I mentioned it. And I want to cover that in another video, but very important for those listeners that come back. The reason I talk about my daughters so much is because this is why I'm investing in property for them, right? So sorry if it annoys you, but you've got to have a reason why you're doing stuff. And that's my reason. So Georgia, we bought a property at auction together, and in the pinned comment, the very top comment on here, you can click on it and see a video of when we purchased at auction. So we purchased at auction for £60,000, right? Pretty good. That was a 2-bedroom house up in Doncaster, up north. 2-bedroom house up in Doncaster, right? Now, we then needed to refurb that. And so if you talk about the refurb costs and the legal costs of purchasing, let's just bundle that in together. That was £15,000. Right, so we're now in the property for £75,000. And the rent that we get from that is £575, right? Which is pretty good. It's a pretty good deal. Now, if we'd have just left it like that, in time, we would have got all our money back, wouldn't we? Because we're going to earn the rent. So we're in for 75 grand, but it's going to take a lot of time because we've got this cash, right? We bought this one cash. And so this will take a lot of time. Now, what we did is we refinanced. So we refinanced the property pretty much straight away after we'd done the building work, right, and got the tenant. And we refinanced for £100,000. So what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is that a surveyor came round and they valued that property now at £100,000. Now, if you don't know much about buy-to-let mortgages, a buy-to-let mortgage company will lend you 75% of the value of a property. Now, this deal stacked up pretty perfect. Not every deal is going to be like this, but this was very round numbers, which was great. So if your house is worth £100,000, they'll lend you £75,000, which was exactly the amount of money that we'd put into the property. So we got all of our money back, and now left in that deal, this all happened in like 3 months, we have £0 left in. We put 60,000 in to purchase it. We spent 15 grand on doing it up in stamp duty. We were 75 grand in. We got it revalued at 100, and we got all of that 75 grand back, meaning there was no money left in that deal. Now that means that we can go again. And that's what we've just done. So for Georgia, we've just bought a second property in the south of England this time, which is a flat. And I've done a video tour on that and an explanation on why I bought that property in the south. It's a different reason for that one. The reason is that I currently already own one in that block. I had a few difficulties and I wanted to make sure I was now the majority shareholder in that building, right? So we've now got zero money left in that. Now, you might say, well, I haven't got £75,000, James, so how can I do that? You can do that with other people's money, right? When you go to investors and you say, look, I'll borrow your money, I'll secure it against a property. So this is quite different, isn't it? If you just went to, I mean, I've had businesses for, I don't know how many years now, like 15 maybe years. If I went to friends and said, look, can you lend me £50,000 because I want to run some Facebook ads in my business, or set up a YouTube channel, or buy some lights, or build a studio, or whatever, 99% of the time they would say no to rent it, to let it to a business. However, very different when you talk about property. And I've now got a number of people that are willing to lend me money. So if I say to them, hey, would you lend me £50,000 and I'll secure it against a property? So I'll make sure that you are part of that property. If anything goes wrong, you're going to get the property, right? Now they're a lot more comfortable. And I'll pay you 1% interest every single month on the amount that you borrow. That can be a nice little earner for them, because their money, if it's sitting in the bank, is not going to earn them even 1% in a year. And you can offer that at 1% a month, right? So if you borrow 100 grand, then your interest payment on that is going to be £1,000 a month. However, if you're using it to leverage to buy some bigger deals, then that means that you can get into a deal if you manage it well and get back out of it and leave money, almost no money in there. Now, these sorts of deals are very common. Like, this is how investors are taking one pot of money and buying 10 houses, 20 houses, 30 houses. Now, other ways that you can make sure that you get your properties is just time, right? You can get properties for zero just because of time on your side. So my first property I bought for £45,000. How many years now? So I bought in 99 to 22. So 2022, so 23 odd years. That property is now worth more than £250,000. I've been able to take that money out multiple times and buy other assets with that. Property is very, very powerful and allows you to do that. So that's my thoughts on how you can buy with no money. So actually, you can't buy a property with zero, but you can buy property with low money down. You can find lease options. They will not work in the south of England, or very rarely will someone do in the south of England, because prices they rise so much faster. They're less likely to be in negative equity in the south as well. If you go north of Birmingham, there are tons of little hotspots where you can find. You could do a little Google search and say where is places in negative equity, and that can really help you get this moving forward. So that's it from me. Let me know your thoughts on this. I'd love to know what you think about this, guys. Do like, subscribe, comment on all my videos, guys. And we're having an event in London and we'd like to invite you. So in the description is a link. Just fill your details in and you'll get all the details on how to grab a ticket for that event. So do click on the link, fill your details in, check out all the other content that I've got on my channel, including this video right here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.